This is a Flying Cow production.
Book 1, Water. Book 2, Earth. Book 3, Fire. Long ago, Nickelodeon introduced a series called Avatar: The Last Airbender. It combined great anime-style animation, strong storytelling, heart, and humor. It was great, and everyone that saw it loved it. Until one day, a terrible movie came out which everyone hated. But my co-host Loren Collins knows none of this because he's never seen the show. And that's why we are watching every episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, because I believe this could be Loren's new favorite show. Or at least top 20.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Comets and Cabbages, the Avatar: The Last Airbender podcast here on the Flying Cow. My name is Clay Johnson, the Flying Cow himself, and it's Iro, not Iro. I don't care what anybody else says.
My name's Amanda Van Heil, and I don't know who Grandma is.
And I'm Loren Collins, and I want an hour and 43 minutes of my life back.
Yeah, we are here today talking about, in my little intro that I always run at the top, we talk about a horrible movie that once came out in 2010. Today, we're going to be talking about that horrible movie. This is going to be something that we've never done before on the podcast. We are going to be doing a commentary track for the movie The Last Airbender. Not Avatar: The Last Airbender, just The Last Airbender, because this came out the year after Avatar, the one with the big blue people. And they were, afraid of getting sued or something, I guess. I don't know. But either way, it's called The Last Airbender. It was from 2010, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. And it starred Noah Ringer, Dev Patel, Nicola Peltz, Jackson Rathbone, Sean Taub, and many, 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 many more. Yeah, I will say, why don't we go ahead and let's kind of share our experiences of first seeing this movie before we get things started. So we'll start with Loren because his was rather recent. Loren, when and how did you first experience this movie?
Oh, I think I saw this movie, was it last Thursday, I think, night?
Yeah.
Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And also not in one stretch, because I had managed to start the movie up and then I think got bored about 30 minutes into it, went to bed. That's why I can't remember what day I watched it on, honestly.
Yeah, no, I watched this last night and there were several times that I just paused it and I was like, you know what? I want to play on my phone for a second.
Yeah. I thought starting it at like 9:30 or something at night would be good enough, but no, it's like, I just wanted to sleep and, finished it up. If I had not had to watch it for this podcast, I would not have finished the movie. If I had, been watching it in the theater, I might have walked out. My main review after watching this was that I hope and expect, honestly, this will probably be the worst film I see in 2024, because if I find myself watching a worse movie, I probably won't finish it.
Right. Well, I mean, I will say you went into this with us telling you this is a bad movie. And I saw your post on Facebook. You hoped that we were exaggerating.
I mean, there are other things I've heard that are bad movies, and I go into it, and I find out it's like, okay, there are redeeming factors there. Also, this is an adaptation of a beloved children's cartoon.
True.
Obviously, they're going to be there's going to be some contingent of fandom that's going to be unhappy with the changes.
Lots of people hate things just because they're based on things that they love. I have a friend who absolutely despises the Never-Ending Story because she loves the book and she thinks that the movie destroys the story.
Huh.
I mean, I will say rewatching it after watching it as a child, it's not as good as I remember. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, there are definitely
it's kind of a vibes children's movie, to be fair. Like it's just kind of, you know, coasting on the atmosphere of everything to some extent. And yeah, I should read the book. That would be good. But no, there are things looking at the show, like, I'm not wedded to them. I'd be perfectly happy to see some things shaken up, you know, without just pointing a finger and being unhappy that that's different. But no, this was just objectively bad. And in about every way I could possibly look at a movie and critique, like the lighting was bad in scenes. Like the editing was bad. Just the actual
the dialogue in this is atrocious.
The dialogue is atrocious, but you know, that's a common mistake. I mean, there were points where just like there were action scenes with like I felt like there was just a handheld guy walking around.
Okay, I was thinking that also. I was like, I feel like this was like shot on someone's iPhone. They were just walking through.
There were a couple times with again, we'll get to it, bold experiments with like trying to do long one shots, but they were just bad long oneers. It's just the movie kept inventing new ways to be bad. I haven't seen in like a fully funded like blockbuster level motion picture. Like and Shyamalan is a talented guy. He has the skills to do better than this.
Yeah, honestly, the things in this that I dislike are just things that I thought were weird and interesting in some of his earlier movies.
Yeah,
but he went a little bit too far. You know, like the odd camera angles. He does that a lot.
Yeah,
the kind of oddly stilted dialogue. He's actually used that rather well.
Well, it works really well for like a psychological horror.
Yeah.
Right.
But not for adapting a funny cartoon.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Really? That's all you're going to say in that moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was reading one review about it, and he was complimentary of Asif Manvi because he at least is the one guy who appears to be putting on like a different kind of performance. Like there's some character coming out of Zhao, and well, everyone else just kind of has the same sort of blah, flat affect.
Yeah, I'm still not a huge fan of his Zhao.
No, I don't love his Zhao either, but he at least is doing something.
True. Yeah. All right. Well, Amanda, what about you? What was your first experience with this movie?
My first experience is a little different. I actually saw it before I watched the full series,
which is so messed up.
Which is
I'm
terrible.
so sorry for. I'm surprised that you even watched the series. After
I was kind of, I was familiar with the series at the time.
Yeah.
Like I knew a little bit about it. I was like, okay, everybody seems to love it. Let's go see the movie. Maybe it'll be cool. So Dan and I went to go see it.
Oh, so you saw it in theaters?
Yes.
Oh, no wonder, because you just watched the series last year. No wonder it took you so long to watch the series. I didn't realize you watched it in theaters too. Jeez.
Yes. Probably the only reason I stayed is because I had popcorn and a frozen Coke, and I'm not going to leave that.
Yeah.
But I remember being very confused the whole time, and just the whole time just being like, I don't even understand what is happening. It's just they go to another place and then they start fighting, and who are the good guys and who are the bad guys, and this is just weird. And okay, Yue is pretty cool. I don't know anything about her, but she's cool. Yeah. And honestly,
I don't even think they call her Yue in the movie. I think they just call her Princess.
Maybe. I don't know. I was like, girl with white hair. I like her.
Yeah. I'm reminding myself who Yue is, to be honest, because I'm pretty sure they don't name check her.
No, gotcha. I think they just call her Princess. Okay. Although she seems to actually be the one in charge in this version.
Yeah, like I think her dad's gone or something like that. I think he away at the war or
at first I thought the guy that, I mean, again, they don't really name check Master Paku, but the guy who kind of takes the role of Master Paku also is the guy that I thought was the leader of the tribe at first. And then he was like, what do you think, princess? As if he wouldn't just, and I'm just like, I'm really confused as to the roles of anybody in this scene right now. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going, I like the girl with the white hair.
Yeah.
And then I feel really bad for all of the actors in that because I like to think that they all are capable. Like the kid that played Aang, like never did anything afterwards, which I think he was primarily just a martial artist.
I was about to say, I think the main reason he was hired for this all is because he was a martial artist.
But it's like, I know what it's like to have the lead role or a really good role in a show that turns out terrible. And it's like, okay, yay, finally get my big role. And it's awful.
Yeah,
and everything is bad. And I just feel bad for all of the actors.
I will say he's not great in
no,
this.
He's not.
Neither is Nicola Peltz as Katara.
No, she's
not.
But
again, I don't know if that's just because, I know Nicola Peltz has been in other things. I haven't seen anything else she's done, but I know she's done other things. So I assume that she's better than this. But
she has an IMDb page with the
number on it. Yeah, exactly. And outside of this, I think Noah Ringer only did one other thing.
He did Cowboys.
But like the year after. But
Peltz was in it said Transformers: Age of Extinction. I think he was playing like the main character's daughter.
Oh, is that the one where they run down the list of what's legal dating age in various states?
Yeah, I'm not. She shares the same last name with the main character, so I assume she's the daughter. But yes, if so, then yes, it's her boyfriend who has the laminated card. About
knows exactly how young he can date in each state. Really creepy.
Yes.
But yeah,
why is it laminated?
This movie doesn't do them any favors, but that's not necessarily their fault. Obviously, M. Night was. We've seen other movies where M. Night directs better, at least more established actors to also be horrible. So it's like, what are you going to do? But yeah. I will say for me, I had already seen the series. And I was actually really, because I don't know if it's still there, but the original DVDs for Avatar: The Last Airbender, there was a special interview at the end where they had already been talking to M. Night about doing this movie. And so there's an interview with M. Night about the upcoming movie in the book 3 DVDs. And I was all excited for it. I was ready. And, even though the last thing I'd seen from Shyamalan I wasn't pleased with, The Happening. Really, not a great test case there. But I was still excited about the movie, and I went to go see this in the theater with my sister, who had also introduced to the series. She was really excited about it, and we both walked out going, that wasn't good. So I will say I think I have watched it one other time outside of for this podcast. I can't remember why, but I do remember watching it at least one other time. I think for some other type of, remember how bad this thing is kind of thing. Or maybe I was just like, was it really as bad as I remember? I like I said, I can't remember why I watched it, but either way, yes, it's bad. But we are going to all now rewatch it together while giving commentary for everyone out there. The way that we're going to do this is we are going to be watching our own copy. Obviously, we're not going to be playing this over YouTube or anything like that. But if you do want to watch this along with us, you can feel free to do so. We're going to do this kind of loose. We might have a couple of things that, where we talk about what's currently going on the screen at the moment, but mostly it's just going to be a conversation about the movie. as a whole. So it doesn't have to be precise, but I will give you a marker, kind of a countdown of when you will want to start the movie. I am watching this on Paramount Plus. I believe it's also available on Amazon Prime. If either of those are not available, basically at this point, I am just starting it right before the Paramount logo. So you can have it there ready to sync up when we get started. So go ahead and if you want to do that, you can pause this. But yes, when you come back, we will go ahead and get this going. And I will say 1, 2, 3, Appa, and that will be your notice to start. So here we go. Are you guys ready for this?
As ready as I'll ever be.
One more time. Yeah. I meant to ask, outside of, wait, did you even rewatch this to prep for the podcast?
Yeah, I did over the weekend.
Okay. But that was the only other time that you've rewatched this?
Yep.
Okay. So I already have seen this more times than anybody else. All right. All right. Well, then here we go. 1, 2, 3, Appa. And water. How clever. This is another one of those things, is that, you know, a lot of people have complained about the CGI in this. I will say it's not great. For some reason, the water is always in blobs. I don't know why. But yeah, that is one of the things with this. The CGI isn't great, but a lot of people would complain about the bending. And I actually saw a video where they talked about, it's not necessarily that it's that the CGI, just that the CGI is bad, which is not great, but it's also the fact that they don't really respect the martial arts the way that they did even in the cartoon series. I mean, Amanda, that would be something that you could speak to more than any of us.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, there were plenty of elements, like this opening sequence I thought looked really cool, where like it was live action of the opening. Aang really didn't do a lot of Bagua, which
I was about to say, I think at the very least, because he does know how to, you know, he is a martial artist. He does know how to do this stuff, but it didn't seem like he was doing actual like airbending. No,
he wasn't. He was doing, I mean, most of what he was doing, because I think he's a Taekwondo artist, which is really freaking cool. Taekwondo, though, is primarily like kicks and jumps and things like that. So that's the stuff that looks really neat. Bagua is a lot of spins. It's not airbending.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is a scene where he's evading Zuko, where it looks like he's doing a little bit more of
there was one instance was like, okay, good, you're doing the circle. Okay, that's right. The part that really got me, though, was when he was doing like the water bending with Katara, and he's doing it correctly, and Katara was not.
No. I mean, Nicola Peltz was not brought in to as a martial artist, and
but that was some really basic stuff. I mean, she was doing like
I mean, most of the time that you see her doing anything, she's just doing this one like pose, you know, and it's just this crooked crane looking thing.
Yeah.
I will say, though, one of my biggest issues with this movie is the fact that Sokka and Katara, Nicola Peltz and Jackson Rathbone, they're cast as waterbenders, which are Inuit tribe people. They're white. But if you look later on in the scenes, they are like everybody else in the tribe besides them and Gran are Inuit. Or
no, Gran's not in this.
No, she is. Well, Grandma.
Exactly. I don't see Gran anywhere.
No, I mean, they never call her Gran. They call her Grandma.
Yeah, so Gran's not here. This is just somebody else. I don't know who that person is.
No clue. No,
doesn't even act like Gran.
No. And I mean, I will say, I don't know if this was one of her early roles. She doesn't seem very confident. She does. Honestly, I don't know why they cast her as Katara.
Oh, there's a story behind that.
Oh, really?
What? Oh, okay.
There is a story behind that.
Okay.
Basically, her father apparently is something of a big wheeler dealer producer type. And so when they were trying to get the movie up and off the ground and funded and whatnot with the studio,
right,
he sort of threw his weight around and really wanted his daughter in this movie.
Jeez.
And
I mean,
so,
yeah.
And so, like, it wasn't, as best I understand, like Knight's decision to, to cast her. It was his hand was somewhat forced.
I mean, I do know that one of there were some controversial casting decisions by Knight. His first choice for Zuko was what's the kid
Aaron Carter.
Aaron Carter. Yes.
Wait,
Aaron
seriously?
Carter. Yes. That was his first choice for Zuko.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like I said, Dev Patel is trying his best in this film. There are moments where I can tell, okay, he's actually really trying to give this something, but Zuko is such a difficult, but I'm like, I can't imagine what Aaron Carter would have brought to this.
Yeah. Funny story about Aaron Carter is he thought Zelda Universe, he thought we were official Nintendo. And so he was like messaging us all the time, tweeting at us all the time. And was like, hey, y'all want to send me like a Wii U or something?
Wow.
And we're like, we're not Nintendo, Aaron.
No. Wow.
But yeah, once funny. She was sort of forced on the movie by way of her father.
Yeah.
Then, like, that also necessitated how you cast Sokka.
Yeah.
You can't cast someone who does not look like her brother.
Right. And I mean, Jackson Rathbone, you can tell that he, has some experience.
He's doing a good actor. Like, I'll give him that. But
he's not Sokka.
No.
He was miscast for this, but you're right. I mean, once you have decided that Katara has to be this random girl that, some dude that her father, basically bought the role for her, then yeah, you're in a little bit. Of course, that doesn't explain why Aang is also a white kid. Except for some reason, they wanted most of their leads to be white.
The thing with Jackson Rathbone is I feel like he had that Sokka in him. Like, he has an inner Sokka.
He just wasn't.
There are moments where you can tell that he's trying to bring some levity, but the tone of the movie is not supporting it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because they tried to
already getting some bad CGI. In my opinion.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This scene right here, he's like, it's trying to eat me. I'm like, with its
tail?
Yeah. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. But yeah, I mean, as you see, you get a look at the rest of the Water Tribe, and they are all, at least appear, closer to what you would assume the Water Tribe would look like. But they're all the background people. They're all the people that get no lines. And I'm just like, dude, if you're not going to cast the lead characters in this tribe correctly, don't have it just be the background, because that's not a good message either.
Well, and what usually showed up in the commentary on this was not just that, but also that you end up with the dynamic being that our heroes are kind of white-coated and the villains are all brown. And
yes. Yeah, I mean, I will say I had forgotten that they had cast some East Asian actors in some of the Earth Kingdom roles. Yeah. But all I remembered is that they had cast the Fire Nation as South Asian, which I'm like, that's fine. But I thought it was weird for them to be the only people of color. But there are some East Asian actors in this as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we just watched the scene, or I guess passed by the scene, Aang's first speaking role, which is one of the most awkward scenes, because you have the two people in the movie that I think had the least acting experience.
Yeah.
And they're also kind of the leads of, I mean, you could argue that Aang and Katara are, you know, aside from Zuko, obviously, the kind of the driving force of the story and the show.
Yeah, they're the ones even on for the movie itself. They're the only ones that are on the cover. Poor Sokka doesn't get in there.
Yeah. But you know, for them to obviously not have a lot of acting experience under their belt at the time, their scenes, and plus I'm assuming that they're being directed to have extremely stilted dialogue. And here we get the introduction of a very white Gran.
Yeah. Looks like he's straight out of Lake Wobegon or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's really, really interesting. I will say I do know that one of the first things that fans complained about before they actually saw the movie was that Katara has no hair loopies.
Yeah,
which,
less about that.
Yeah,
I mean, about it.
I will say the hair loopies were kind of a last minute decision, even by the animators.
Yeah.
I will say though, everybody is really excited that the new live action Netflix series, Katara's got her hair loopies back.
I did hair loopies when I did my last Tai Chi test.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do Katara hair for my Tai Chi test, so I did.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we've got Dev Patel here as Zuko, and like I said, he's trying, but Zuko is one of those characters, like I said, that's very hard to balance because if you are not able to find different levels, and I've always thought that Dante Bosco, the voice actor of Zuko, has always been great about finding different levels of Zuko, but on the page, he seems very one note. He seems very screamy and angry all the time. And yes, he is screamy and angry all the time, but there are different levels of scream and there are different, you know, moments of angst and that you can play. And I don't know, you know, that was given to him. There is a more subdued moment later, but it's surrounded by a lot of really bad. So, yeah.
In terms of structure, we are now like what? How far are we into this movie? Do you have a timer there?
Yeah, we are 11 minutes into the movie.
We are 11 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
It already feels like it's been going on forever.
The title protagonist has now been taken prisoner with no conflict. They just walked in and took him away. And
well, he was just like, promise you won't hurt the people. Yeah, I promise.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, let's go. Like that was literally like the exchange. I will say this is one of the biggest things that I had to say after watching this movie. And Loren, it's something that you mentioned in your Facebook post.
Yep.
The fact that they are trying to cram basically, you know, 10 hours worth of story.
Oh yeah.
Into an hour and a half, like literally. I mean, honestly, this movie is thankfully mercifully short running time. It doesn't feel short.
I don't know, an hour and 40 minutes. Way too long.
but it's a difficult thing.
We're not the scene here where we're meeting Iroh or Iroh. Yeah. Does he actually identify himself by name in this scene at all?
I think yes, he does. When he first comes in, he says, I'm Iroh. Now, I will say nobody in this ever uses, I don't think they ever call him General Iroh.
Yeah, but okay.
But yeah, no, he does introduce himself. I will say this was one of the castings that I was interested in because Sean Taub had previously been, I can't remember the character's name, but the guy who helps Tony Stark build the Iron Man suit in the original Iron Man. And he had been great in that. And I think that he's got moments here, but he's not given a whole lot to work with.
No.
Iroh is not presented. I mean, the one thing that is true to the character in this is that, you know, he, you know, is respectful of spirits, which they put a lot of weird things in this movie. One thing is that, you know, they mentioned that the firebenders basically want to overrule the spirits in this world. There, you could tell there was a real spiritual kind of like you could tell that like that was the most important thing to M. Night was the spiritual aspect.
As far as I can tell, rewrite the mythology was off.
Little bit. Well, I mean, they're already rewriting the mythology by basically saying that in this world, in this version of the world, firebenders can't create their own fire.
Right.
Because there's a scene later on where Iroh does, and they're all like, he's making his own fire.
I got so confused there. I'm like, when did the firebenders be like turn into like pyro, where they have to have the external force? Like if they want to do that, that's fine. That should have been like the whole time. But
it should have been explained earlier. I don't think M. Night, and a lot of people have said that they don't think M. Night watched the series. I do know the main reason that he did the movie is because his kids were big fans of it, but I don't know that he watched it for certain. But he seems to be ignoring the fans a lot.
I mean, I feel like he definitely watched multiple episodes because we're about to jump through them 5 minutes at a time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he got some chunks and some highlights here.
Maybe he just got the details from his kids, told him what happened.
Possibly.
Maybe. Yeah, they don't make fire didn't bother me too much. Given that it is a change, they probably should have explained that in dialogue at some point.
Which, like I said, he's not thinking about the fans because the fans would have needed, because they're going to be expecting that that's the way firebenders work. And for him to just not acknowledge that at all means that he's not thinking about the fans.
They need that clarification. Yeah.
And there's also, and you know, we've kind of mentioned it, but there's also the fact that they changed the pronunciation of a good number of characters and ideas and concepts, and we've talked about this. You know, this is a world based in, Eastern culture. So technically, the way that they pronounce a lot of these words actually is correct. The way that it was done in the cartoon series was mostly incorrect. However, to change all of them was, I think, a mistake. Leave Avatar. Leave that one alone. If you wanna call Sokka Soka, it's annoying, but whatever. You want to call Iroh. I mean, I think Iroh sounds better for the character, but whatever. Ong, Aang, I know that has been a big pet peeve for Loren. Choose a couple to strategically say, no, this is how it's actually said. I think Ong to Aang to Ong was fine, but don't change everything, because then you're alienating.
Avatar annoys me the most.
Oh, Avatar is, well, it's also because it's inconsistent. Katara says it Avatar every single time, whereas a lot of other, I think Gran just said Avatar. A lot of other people say Avatar, whereas, and then occasionally it'll be Avatar again, and I'm just like, pick one. Yeah, and
so let's just past the test that Iroh was giving Ong. How are we supposed to understand that test was working? Were the elements like reacting to him, or was he manipulating them?
I know that I definitely, I didn't really get the fire one, except that maybe it bent a little bit towards him. The water one, like, it formed into a circle. So obviously there was some form of manipulation happening there. I think the idea is that the elements would act unnaturally around the avatar.
The presence of the avatar. Okay,
yes.
That was my question. Are the elements reacting to him, or is he somehow controlling?
That's what I was wondering, because I was like, well, maybe he's airbending it,
right? And again, it's not made clear.
Okay, I figured the answer was the movie is bad at this.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure that was y'all's take on it too.
Yeah, I will say this is a change I don't mind. They really don't do a whole lot of the fight for the escape. They kind of cut this short. But
that escape was fine. Well, yeah, that particular scene of him escaping is fine. As I already noted on Facebook, Ong gets captured and escapes from the Fire Nation 3 separate times in the first 45 minutes of this film.
Well, it's because that's in the show,
Yeah,
but it does make it. Also, the elapse of time in this, I'm not really understanding because, like it's very unclear how much time this is taking. Because I will say they're actually in the Northern Water Tribe halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, but I'm like, how long was it actually before they actually got there? Like, was this days, weeks, months? There's nothing. And also they're skipping through. I mean, the way that they act by the end of the movie, they make it seem like it's really only been a matter of days because Aang is just at that point coming clean about, you know, his fears and why he ran away.
And that makes about sense for an adaptation. I do find it bizarre that, like, they don't actually get Aang's name until this scene. Like, they've
True. Yeah, it does take a while.
I didn't even, like...
Whereas he introduced himself right off in the original series. And I'm just like, of course, we don't have any dialogue for him in that first scene. They just find him. And then the next scene we see him, he's half naked.
Well, I mean, the natural time to introduce himself by name to the characters and the audience is their little meeting in the igloo. When he
but no, he's just like, hey, I'm shirtless.
Yeah.
And he has a really weird, well, what he says is not, hey, I'm Aang. He goes, I ran away.
Because I got upset.
Yeah.
It obviously took them some amount of travel time when they were writing Appa, but yeah, they never just bothered to exchange names.
No.
Got here and just like,
no,
hey,
they have not had conversations, and now we're seeing
with for the last 24 hours.
Yeah. I will say that, you know, I do like that we're actually seeing fields of dead airbenders in this one, as opposed to, you know, no dead bodies in the series.
I do like that.
With the exception
the reveal of like all the skulls and dead Gyatso with the necklace. It's pretty cool.
That was one of my issues with the show, was that when you don't see any bodies, like, I just assumed they all ran away. Like,
like
there's no death here. It's just a vacant castle. By the way, so let's talk about name introductions. I found on the Avatar wiki the entire script for this movie. And sure enough, in that scene after they get after Aang gets kidnapped by Iroh and Zuko, Iroh says, like, my nephew wants me to perform a test on you. He briefly explains the test. Aang says, that's all you want? Iroh's response is, my name is Iroh, and you have my word. Which is such a
weird way to introduce yourself.
With people.
Yeah.
Is that all you want? My name is Amanda. This is all I want.
And you have my, but that's good.
Have my word.
That's also why I didn't pick up on his name being said, because that's not where I expected to be name dropped.
No.
Do they ever even say Zuko's name? I can't remember.
Ooh, that's a good question.
They do. I'm pretty sure that Zhao says it a few times. I will say at the end with the fight with Katara and Zuko, she doesn't know his name yet. She just calls him the Fire Lord Prince.
Okay. That actually is a thing I noticed throughout most of the movie. Is just like, it's weird that we're supposed to have any kind of personal acrimony between our leads and Zuko, given no one's really had any direct interaction with him other than Aang.
I was about to say, and we don't see him catching up with them as much. I mean, we've got the earlier scene where they captured him. Later on, when he frees him as the Blue Spirit, and then at the Northern Water Tribe. I think those are the only 3 times that he actually interacts with them.
By the way, he does name drop himself back in the village. He takes his helmet off and says, I am Prince Zuko, son of Fire Lord Ozai and heir to the throne. So,
Dude, you're not heir to the throne. You've been banished.
Yeah.
Lying. That's fine. That's character work.
I will say this scene that we're watching right now is super cold. He's like, "Hey, come have dinner." Oh, and in the very first moments of the dinner, I'm gonna rub your nose into how much you're shamed.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're not even allowed to wear the fire, I like the idea of this beat. It's not being done great, but I like the idea of this beat that Zhao would really just want to humble and, disgrace Zuko in front of everyone.
Yeah. I read a review that was complaining about just how bold the exposition is here in this scene. Just like literally stating Zuko's backstory.
Yeah, I mean, that is, yeah.
But I find it kind of forgivable because it's done in a way that also honestly fleshes out Zhao's characterization. Like,
right.
This is all being delivered because Zhao's trying to rub his face in it in front of a crowd just to embarrass him.
Right. I do think that it goes a little far and it gets into exposition territory.
It could be written more elegantly.
Exactly.
Iroh should have told Zhao that he was delicious.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah, they don't really give Iroh any moments of humor in this, which is unfortunate.
At least they do show him as the caring uncle. It's like, okay, yeah, he may be with the Fire Nation, but maybe all people with the Fire Nation, that's just where they have redeeming qualities.
Right. I mean, another big complaint from the movie just before anybody saw it was Zuko's scar in this.
I had to look for
extreme. Yeah, you can see a little bit of like
it looks like he got a very bad hurt
around the eye, and there's some hair missing, but otherwise, yeah, it's like, okay, what's the deal here?
I mean, it just looks like bad acne scars more than anything else.
Yep. We were talking about the death earlier at the first Air Temple and skipped over the introduction of Momo. Which honestly I think is one of the things, like, what was that set up for a later film? Because Momo does not need to be in this.
Momo is
done dirty.
But I remember seeing Momo in 2 scenes in this whole film.
But they never call him Momo.
No, they never call him Momo. They just call him a flying lemur bat.
Lemur bat. Not even lemur, just
I was about to say, in the series, they just called him a flying lemur.
But if you're trying to, craft this story down to under 2 hours, which is frankly unnecessarily short. Like Momo is something,
although merciful for this version.
Yes.
Well, yes, but Momo is something that can easily be cut. We don't need to devote any time or special effects budget to him.
Okay, respectfully disagree. I love Momo.
I was about to say, I honestly think that they could have been like a nice way to break the tension in Aang's scene of freaking out, is maybe Momo and then they name Momo kind of thing.
Yes.
Coming in. That could have been a nice moment of, levity and stuff. This effect on this ice is horrible. It's just this large block on top of it.
This scene in general with fake Haru and whoever it is.
Why Haru is tiny in
Haru's
this?
a little kid and not Haru anymore. But they were trying to make it a comedic scene because it really hurt.
Well, look at the extra on the right side of the screw. I love that extra, just like they gave some background player just a broom who's just not even sweeping the ground, just sweeping the air.
I will say, I do think they do name check Haru just really quick here, but it's so quick you miss it.
I just call him fake Haru.
Also, they've got the Earthbenders imprisoned, surrounded by dirt.
Exactly.
They didn't have the budget, I guess. So
then leave this out.
No, exactly. No, I agree with you on that. No, I'm just this is a. I watched this scene.
Or if you're going to do this, then change it completely. Make them waterbenders or something that are imprisoned. That it's not obvious that. Why the hell are they not fighting back? They're literally surrounded by their element.
Oh no, exactly.
It makes no sense.
It's a bad sequence in many respects.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Aang Katara's it up over here,
and his speech is horrendous.
Yeah.
absolutely horrendous. Like
But
no
hey,
motivation.
dumbass, there's Earth here. Why haven't you fought back with it?
Yeah.
You may as well just call them all a bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah, he's just explaining to all of them. And,
yeah.
you know, it's like, oh, that's right. We are surrounded by the thing we can manipulate.
Right. Yeah. I'm just like, what is going on here?
Wait, to be fair.
Oh, he just said he's on.
Yeah.
What?
I'm the Avatar.
He's the Avatar?
Actually, to be completely fair here, as they're being walked in, do they have any reason to think these are Earth Kingdom people? Do they have any reason to think any of these people are Earth benders?
Well, I mean, the reason little Haru was brought there was because he was earthbending at the soldier.
He was throwing rocks and it really hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All earthbenders should be dead. Kill him. Or airbenders, whatever. This fight I laughed at last night. Like, it is comical.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, that guy I don't think even knows a bit of martial arts. He's just waving his hands around.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Even like the little bit of actual martial arts that we do get in here is used to comedic effect. Like, this is a comedic scene.
I do want to point out we are getting like this. This is one of the like really long runners we have here.
Yeah. Yeah, we are getting, even that, like, that's some actual, but they're acting ridiculous. Like, they're acting like this is supposed to be a funny scene.
Yeah.
And Sokka just kicks this guy in the ass, literally. And I'm still trying to figure out what the heck this stuff Ong is doing, because that's not airbending at all. Dude, no.
Amanda is having a fit over here about the martial arts.
Right here is one of the times where I feel like the cameraman's just walking through the scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's just really bad, and they're folding in a couple of storylines because this is where they're picking up the waterbending scroll, which I'm not sure why it was necessary for them to pick up the waterbending scroll.
Or why it was just in the Earth Kingdom, just tucked away someplace.
Well, I mean, they did say that they had stolen some things from some people.
Oh,
so
look, there's Momo, who knows exactly where it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Momo to the rescue.
In terms of concentrating the material, having the water scroll here, I think, worked pretty well. I don't think it's necessary.
But again, I was about to say, I don't think it was necessary. No. Also, they make the choice of saying that Aang can't understand waterbending at all at this point, which I'm like, okay, fine. You know, I guess it makes the need for they're also making this Kyoshi Island because we're seeing Kyoshi's statue. Again, not really necessary, but like I said, the most important thing to Shyamalan in this movie was tying in all the spiritual aspects.
Yeah.
So
and apparently Suki is here somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
listed on IMDb is uncredited. So Suki's around here, just walking around.
And see, honestly, I would have preferred this would have been just straight up Kyoshi Island rather than, you know, Haru, you know, village.
No, that. And that's the
Suki could have given them the water skull if they really wanted to. Like, it would make sense for the Kyoshi warriors to have it.
Yeah, and if they still wanted to do the suppression, because the Kyoshi warriors are not benders.
No.
You know,
but I think the one thing they're trying to accomplish with this scene, and the one reason why it
is that he's liberating people.
Exactly.
But, like I said, they could have done that with the Kyoshi warriors.
And the word of that then has to spread. So that can be accomplished a different way, but and I wish it were, but Kyoshi Island doesn't accomplish quite the same.
I mean, it didn't have to be an island. It could have still been like, you know, within changing village. Everything else.
No, that doesn't matter. Like, he has to come here and, like you said, liberate these people. He can't go to a place already full of warriors. And then, like,
well, I mean, the warrior, you know, there are ways that it could have been done.
Yeah,
but
this is also just a bad montage again.
Well, because their bending sequences are the worst part of the movie.
Is she putting up a wanted poster? That is what I want to know.
That is what that looks like. But I think what it's saying is that oh geez, I just did it. The Avatar is back.
I think it looks like it's a wanted poster.
It does look like
I'm calling it a wanted poster.
Yeah.
I was even looking for the blue spirit there next to it.
in the finding in the script.
A translation.
Yeah, maybe it's a translation.
Yeah. And so this is the most we get of showing that Zuko is after them, that Zuko is...
Okay, so I want you to look at the way Aang is moving. You see how he's using his full body like you're supposed to, because he's moving from the waist, and that's how you're supposed to be doing it. And then we see Katara.
Yeah.
Oh!
Because she's not a martial artist, and obviously they didn't focus on...
She's just moving her arms. If I had done that, I would have heard, Amanda, what the hell was that crap? And I'd be like, sorry, I didn't use my Dantian like I should have.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, I don't want to pile on to Nicola Peltz, but she obviously was miscast here, but that apparently was not a choice that they had.
So that was a scene that bit is so freaking easy. Even I could learn that in a day. Like, I'm not good. I'm not about to say I'm any good at martial arts. I just train in them.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you know more than she does.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I know what it's supposed to look like, and I know what you're supposed to do. Now, do I have the coordination always? Not always.
Right.
It just takes me a long time sometimes.
Yeah.
Once again, season 1 of Avatar sort of held off on introducing us to the Fire Lord. This movie just sort of drops him in midway through it.
And I think it's a mistake because he's boring.
Unremarkable.
Yeah.
Yes,
and I'm just
who's this totally. Guy? I wrote down it defangs the Fire Lord.
Yeah,
because he's not impressive. He's not like if you're gonna bring him in, fine. Have him sitting in a room full of fire in shadow. Like really play this guy like they do in the series. Really play this guy up, but no, he's a pencil pusher. He's a diplomat. He's just a figurehead. Like
Zhao does all the work in this one all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Instead of Zhao trying to impress the Fire Lord, it's like, no, Zhao actually does everything.
I mean, they do, in a later scene, make it seem like the Fire Lord was basically telling him, no, kill the ocean and moon spirits. And it's like, okay, I get you're trying to make this guy villainous and but it's all unnecessary. A lot of other things that were unnecessary is they make a lot of allusions to things that were not even mentioned in the first series of the show. Yeah. And they make a lot of the scene with Gran. She mentions her friend Hema. Amanda.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
I did. I noticed that.
Which is something that doesn't come up until book 3.
Book 3.
So, and also I don't remember them really being said as friends. So I don't know that
there's
was
a flashback
necessary.
Where you see Gran.
Okay.
Because you see it's assumed that it's Gran because you see the hair loopies.
But still not necessary.
No.
There's a lot of things here. I mean, they're much more explicit about Zhao visiting the library. I mean, it's kind of hinted at, but it's just foreshadowed in the series. And then there's this scene.
I just don't understand it.
Here's the thing. I actually think this is some of Dev Patel's best acting in the whole movie. You can actually tell that he's trying to bring something here, but the dialogue is so bad. And the poor kid that they've got talking to him, you can tell has no training because he's just like, oh yeah, he's this guy and does this thing. And it just really flattens the whole scene. And they give him a lot of exposition. And I'm just like, do not give that kid
parents must have known somebody.
Something.
Yeah, this is just bald exposition at this point. Oh, look, I wonder who that could be.
I will say I don't like the way that they play Azula. They tip their hat to way too many things that don't come up until way later.
Yeah.
I feel like they thought, oh, we're gonna put in Grand's secret friend from book 3. Oh, look, everybody's gonna be so excited about this Easter egg we threw in.
Not if the movie sucks.
We're like less than 40 minutes into this movie, and Zuko's already just kind of a pitiful sad sack. He doesn't feel remotely threatening.
Well, because again, they don't have him constantly dogging after Aang. They have him. No. They have him constantly getting there. 2 days too late. Yeah. So he's not the constant antagonist like he is in the series. He's not a threat.
They poured a lot of that over to Zhao in the end.
Yes. Yeah, they did. And I think that it would have been better. I mean, it might have made it take longer, but if it's done well, it's not a big deal. It might have been better to have Zuko chasing Aang, Zhao chasing Zuko.
Something to that. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And like we were saying a minute ago, we don't need Ozai at all.
No. No. Totally unnecessary.
For one thing, we're trying to cram enough stuff into this movie. We don't need to add a character who wasn't hanging around in the series.
No.
But wasn't necessary for that narrative. Also, it raises certain, if you overthink it, certain geographical questions of just like, exactly
how are they getting around? So
because Ozai's only showing up when Zhao goes back to see him. How much is Zhao running back to see this guy?
Yeah, because in the series, I always assumed that Zhao and the Fire Lord were communicating through Falcon messengers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas in this, he's constantly back at the Fire Nation, and I'm just like
going back and forth all the time. So
yeah, Zhao is single-handedly creating a hole in the ozone layer from all of the back and forth travel with that charcoal ship. Yeah, I'm just saying. They're gonna look at their ozone, and there's gonna be like this indent.
I want to point out it's not dark, it's not night. It is at most dusk in this scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Aang will be back in a day.
Yeah, I will say this scene coming up. I mean, it takes a little bit to get there, but I'll just go ahead and mention him because he's, aside from another character that we've already mentioned, my favorite portrayal in this whole movie is this peasant that Aang's about to meet. Randall Duck Kim plays this peasant, and there's a scene later on that I'm like, that was actually some good acting.
Yeah, he does a really good job in this one.
Yeah. Also, his voice is great. Like, I was like, I feel like he was like played a voice in the show because he sounds very familiar, but I couldn't find a credit for him. Because, I mean, honestly, at first I thought maybe this guy was supposed to be like, Fire Sage Caillou, because of the color of his garb, but
the mechanic at first, or the mechanist.
The mechanist. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, because there is some obvious, because this is the Northern Air Temple. Yeah, there is some obvious industrialization there, but no, they just leave out the mechanist, they just make it like, I think he says he's an earthbender that just hangs out
on the temple. No, I will say this does look really cool. The statue room looks really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, all of this stuff is actually like, there were moments here when I was watching it last night that I was like, oh, okay, this is actually not bad. I mean, Aang's exposition is a little, because again, no ringer, not being given the best opportunities to succeed here. But this is also where it is revealed that the reason that Aang ran away was not because he was going to be separated from the people that he loved, but because he was told he'd never be allowed to have a family, in which I wrote down, so the whole reason Aang ran away is because Aang just really wants to fuck. In this version of the movie, that is why Aang ran away, because he wants to fuck and he's not going to be allowed to. And I'm just like, why? Who decided that? Because that's not a thing in the series. Who decided that?
That's what I want to know.
Also, they're already called monks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of implied. But
yeah. Okay, so this is where the guy turns on him. and his reasoning is because he's been gone for so long that he's impoverished, and I get that.
Yeah.
But this moment here, where he's walking away, and you can tell he feels bad, and then this guy hands him coins, and he feels like shit. I'm like, that is awesome.
That was a really
that
good
is the
scene.
best moment of acting in this movie so far.
Yep. Like, I felt his inner turmoil there, and I honestly did not see that twist coming for some reason.
I'm just like, dude, we needed more of him in this movie.
Yeah.
Was there something
honestly you know, no offense to Sean Taub, he should have been Iroh.
I was gonna say that also, that he
would have been a
really
great
good
Iroh.
Yeah. Was there something that peasant had done to attract Aang to the temple? That
he wants
brought
to
him
talk
down
to the
there.
dragon spirit. I will say in this, Roku is replaced with the dragon spirit.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with.
Which is fine. He rides the dragon, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
it's fine. Also, the special effect here annoys me because like they had no budget and they came to animate the dragon.
Well, because it's so shadowy, you can't really make anything out.
It's shadowy, and like I said, and they don't want to bother animating it, moving its mouth. But no, how did the peasant know he was going to show up?
He was just there. I think he just lives there. But basically he kind of had like a standing agreement that if the Avatar shows up, I will hold him for you.
Yeah, but I guess the question is like, how did the Fire Nation get down there that quickly?
Well, I mean, the Fire Nation obviously has a presence there because they've industrialized. I mean, he even says the Fire Nation has really, ripped this place apart or whatever. So they obviously have a presence. I think it was basically just getting word to them and holding him there.
But Aang's there for like 5 minutes.
Like, maybe the Fire Nation just hangs out behind the statues.
I mean, there are so many other things in this movie that don't make sense. I'm not going to pick that one apart.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's one of those things where it's just like, I'm trying to clear, is it just bad scripting or is there something I missed to explain? Right. And if the answer is, again, no, it was bad scripting, then so be it. That's fine.
I will say this version of Zhao really likes making speeches.
Yeah.
Because this is like the second or third one he's given.
But can you just take a moment to appreciate the Blue Spirit's hair?
I was about to say the choice of the hair, which I'm not against.
I am. It's terrible.
I mean, honestly, I'm like, in this version, it would have been hard to hide Zuko's identity with just the mask.
Yeah.
So plus I think that a wig is actually more traditional with like kabuki masks and things like that. So I'm not against it. I don't know why it's all over the place.
That's the thing. It's like, if it were a decent wig, sure, but I mean, this just looks like a bad Party City wig.
Yeah. It's
so back at the top of the film. It was before or after the interminable opening scroll crawl. It mentioned book 1 water because it's pretty well known that they had intended this to be a trilogy of films.
Right.
And then despite making a bunch of money, they still did not make any more.
No, even though they heavily hinted at later stuff.
Yeah, exactly. No, heavily hinted. Well, this is why I bring it up, is because, again, in terms of adapting the source material, I assume the Blue Spirit pays off more in the later seasons because in this movie, this is not necessary.
Well, I mean, it is necessary in the sense of Aang escaping.
But that's
and the whole like Zhao figuring out what's going on with Zuko.
Right.
I think it's the more
I think it's more just to give Zuko more to do in this version of it.
Yeah. But then first of all, he hasn't been set up. We've barely seen Zuko at this point. We don't have any sense of his characterization.
Yeah.
Him sort of turning.
Well, and then also I think the act of Aang choosing to save Zuko is an important beat.
That's something. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't require us to have like the Blue Spirit.
I think it does because Zuko doesn't want to flat out show that he is fighting the Fire Nation because he still thinks of himself as part of the Fire Nation, but he is fighting Zhao. So he couldn't have gone in there as himself.
Right. And nobody knows that he's Zuko except for Zhao, which I'm sure some of the others probably could figure it out too.
Which I will say, I honestly preferred it being like, I think maybe, but you know, in this movie, he's just like, I know that your son's doing this, blah, 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 blah. And it's just
I did like that, actually.
You like that? Oh.
Yeah.
I don't need Tattletale Zhao. I mean, honestly, I don't need Ozai in this movie at all.
True.
No, that's true. I don't need Ozai in this movie at all. That's also, part of the reason the Blue Spirit story works in the show was you have 20 minutes to sort of build up the mystery of who is this character running around. Also, you've had multiple episodes. People just show up in the Avatar series. New characters do.
Right.
When we are 45 minutes into this movie, and suddenly a masked guy shows up, and then, like, we learned he's Zuko 3 minutes later.
Yeah. I will say, even though it's not great, this fight scene is way better than the one that we had in the Earth camp.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
It's still not like I you know, just in comparison to the way that it was done in the series, I remember thinking how badass that one was. And this one is just kind of perfunctory. Like, it's just kind of there.
Yeah. But no, as sort of a long oneer, that was better. It had sort of the circular Avengers motion, you know.
Yeah. Well, Zuko with the sword.
I'm sorry. Cool. Aang's face when the Blue Spirit took him hostage, he's just like, it's ridiculous. Oh, yeah. I will say something else that I think we mentioned before we started. You know, we have mentioned the fact that they've changed pronunciations here, but we missed it in the scene where we were getting the exposition of the Agni Kai. For some reason, they had that kid pronounce it Agni Ki, which is ridiculous because that was actually pronounced correct in the series. So I don't know if it was just that kid said it wrong and nobody, corrected him or what, or if M. Night just decided, let's change how everything is pronounced here. Don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if they started calling him Zuko. You know?
Me neither. Zaku is what I'm going to call him. Zaku.
Or Zoku.
Zoku. Okay.
Zoku.
There we go. Zoku. Not to be confused with Goku.
No.
So funny, like in the cartoon series, when it was revealed that Zuko was the Blue Spirit, and the mask came off. It's like, of course, you already figure out that it's Zuko before the mask comes off. But I've watched all of Pretty Little Liars enough to know that even though you saw Zuko's scar, it easily could have been somebody else. I'm like, it could have been somebody pretending to be Zuko, pretending to be the Blue Spirit, because that would be Pretty Little Liars, where it was like, well, we saw the body. Oh no, it was actually a person wearing a mask. It was another person that died.
Honestly, compared with this, I would prefer to see the Pretty Little Liars version of this movie.
I would love the Pretty Little Liars version of it. That would be hilarious.
Once again, we just passed. Man, that was a short bit.
Yeah, he doesn't even wait for him to wake up.
Yeah,
we could be friends. Bye.
Yeah. No, he does that later, which I'm just like, and it's just like a throw. You know, we could be friends. Okay.
But once again, the camera work as it was coming up on Aang and Zuko was like a handheld camera, just some dude walking through the woods. It had a horror movie feel to it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's what M. Night Shyamalan specializes in, is horror, but that doesn't work for a.
But specifically, it has a horror movie like POV shot, like a.
I'm just gonna break this because this is scene specific. If they were going to do the Fire Lord, this is how all of his scenes should have been done.
Yeah,
with him barely being seen. I mean, it should have had Zhao foregrounded rather than Ozai. But that's how all of, if you wanted to have Ozai there, it should have been, just Dr. Claw style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, as long as we're critiquing that, don't light the room so brightly.
No, exactly. It should have just been lit by fire. You know,
lit by fire in the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's messed up.
Zuko is barely a villain in this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he's just a troubled teen in this one.
Yeah, I mean,
basically, with a slight disfiguration on the side of his face.
Yeah, like I said earlier, he got a bad
with acne scars.
I mean, it's like, dude, just go see a plastic surgeon. You're good.
Put some cream on it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you're fine. I mean, the way this one is.
Can I point out here for a second, just with Zuko, apparently, Prince Zuko shares a bunk.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, he doesn't have his own room.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
Unless it's with his uncle, in which case Iroh has the top bunk.
Making him climb.
Yeah.
We didn't have the budget to shoot that, so yeah.
No, I will say another way that they do Iroh dirty here is they never have him firebend until the end.
Yeah.
He never even gets to show off that he's a good fighter, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's just that brief scene in the Northern Water Tribe. And here, like I said, only halfway through the movie and they're already in the Northern Water Tribe. I'm not complaining. I honestly wish that the series had done that.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting, because we've still got 45 minutes now and they're already in a little more than 45. It's a little over halfway, but still almost half of this movie is in the Northern Water Tribe.
As we have Zhao just again.
I like the way he's sitting, like he's
Expositioning.
recording some rap video or something. Just the way he's like sitting back with his legs just spread on a throne.
Like I said, in this version,
I was about to say that too.
Yeah, Zhao loves the sound of his own voice in this version. I mean, I think that maybe because you said that you saw a review that was praising that guy's performance.
Nathan Raven's review, actually.
Yeah, he's okay. Like, there's nothing about him that I despise.
I want to be clear. When I said praise, I mean he was just like, that's the one performance he thought that kind of stood out. Not that he was like saying it was good.
I'm sorry. Did he not notice a performance that's coming up here?
Nothing.
Because
nothing.
That's messed up. Because
by the way,
I will say,
and then Katara's over here.
I don't know why this is voiceover by Katara. Makes no sense.
The one other thing I've seen Asif Manvi appear in, acting wise, as opposed to the Daily Show, was the Series of Unfortunate Events television show.
Okay.
Where he's in, I think the Reptile Room, like the second book. And there was a review box, Vulture, something like that, had written it up, and I wrote the author either on Twitter or by email, and got them to correct something in the article because I thought it was very, very funny that, again, like the reviewer for Vox had said that the role was being played by Aziz Ansari.
Oh,
and I'd write like, no, it's not Aziz Ansari, it's Asif Manvi.
No, honestly, that's a little like that's. I mean, wow, like
that's why I wanted to write it. That's also what made it funnier, coming from like Vox or some left wing kind of author.
Yeah,
that mistake.
You should know the difference between different people of color. Yeah, that's once again apparently in the Northern Water Tribe. Apparently, even though it's never mentioned. Sokka and Katara are from the Northern Water Tribe because all the Northern Water Tribe people are white, with the exception of the princess, who we are. They never name her by name, but of course it is Princess Yue. We were introduced to her a couple scenes ago, played by Seychelle Gabriel, who, in my opinion, is the best part of this movie.
Agreed.
And I believe that the creators agreed because they cast her, actually wrote a role for her in Legend of Korra. She played Asami in Legend of Korra, and she's great. So yeah. Why she's the only person of color in the entire Northern Water Tribe? I don't know. And I mean, it's not like she's even like, you know, looks like she's, you know, of indigenous, you know, background. I think she's actually Hispanic, but at least she's a person of color.
Yeah, I just remember seeing this being like, the girl with white hair was cool.
Yeah,
I liked her.
Yeah. Honestly, the one or two scenes that she has with just her and Sokka are, in my opinion, the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
We should have just had a movie with her and Randall Duck Kim. There
we go.
I will say, in terms of, again, concentrating the material, merging the king and Master Paku into one character is the right move.
But they don't make it seem like he's the king, because
I don't think he is, because I want to say that they say that the king is gone.
I don't remember that, but they do make it seem like, or the princess, as they call her, is in charge, because he calls her princess. He doesn't call her Yue or my daughter or anything like that. I think that he is the guy that is in charge of military strategy, though they never call him Paku.
Yeah. By the way, when I looked at the IMDb pages, I was watching the movie. I saw that the Paku was played by Francis Guinan, and I saw, like, that name sounds so familiar. Who is that? I had to scroll back through to find what it was, and finally, from like 1991, I found it.
Yeah.
He was the dad, Edgar Teller, in Erie, Indiana.
I remember that show.
Okay. Sorry, guys, I just got to point this out because right now, all of this water around Aang is being affected, except for the fountain right behind him. Yeah.
It's a recurring thing I notice in the film, I guess, from CGI budget, that whenever they're manipulating, especially water, it so frequently does not actually come in contact with them.
No, yeah.
It's sort of floating in the air. So, like, the couple of times when Katara is manipulating water and it falls onto Sokka, it falls onto Sokka off camera.
Yeah.
The camera can pan over to him, and he is now wet, or he is now covered in ice.
Right. Well, I mean, partially, I think, at least in this movie, it was because I think I actually were filming in, like, cold climates.
Yeah.
And because I do know that they did go on location for this movie. And so that probably wouldn't have been safe.
But no, I'm talking about, like, you do the CGI better, so you can just do it on camera.
Oh, right. Sure.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere they shot like a week in Iceland. But then they ended up shooting most of the film, I believe, in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's M. Night. He shoots all of his stuff in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So, like, when we were saying Earth Nation stuff earlier, when they were in the woods after he saved Zuko, and we had the the Jason Voorhees camera angle going up through the woods. That all of that just feels like yeah.
If M. Night can get away with shooting in Philly, he's going to shoot in Philly. Yeah. And this is one of the
few good scenes.
One of the few good scenes, and honestly, it's all Seychelles Gabriel. I mean, no offense to Jackson Rathbone, he's doing okay, but she's wiping him off.
She's carrying the scene, but he's doing a good job. He's holding his own.
Yeah, he's not like dropping the scene or anything, but she is the one that is making this sing. I mean, she's still being given a lot of exposition here, but it's one of the places in the film that I don't care.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if they pulled more of this from the show, because it's one of the few places where I don't know if she's just somehow making this dialogue work, or if the dialogue, like, if it's like, but it's one of the few places that the dialogue works in the movie.
Well, I feel like I remember in the show, like, Yue would do a lot of, like, long explaining moments anyway.
There were. I mean, she did that whole explanation of, why her hair was white and stuff. I actually do like the way that they do it in this, of, explaining it to Gran and the kind of playfulness that they have there with that. But
Wait, explaining to Grand Grand?
That's the way that they pitch it in this in the movie, is that he's like, oh, I should introduce you to my grandmother, and she's like, oh, how would that be? Oh, she'd ask you a lot of questions. Like,
oh, what? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which, I mean, the setup is kind of clumsy, but yeah.
I still find it hard to believe just how little Iroh resembles the original version of Iroh. Like,
what I think is funny is that half this movie is in the Northern Water Tribe, yet they cut out all the story in the Northern Water Tribe.
In our little pre-recording discussion,
like there's no interesting, I don't teach girls from Paku. There's no conflict in the Northern Water Tribe.
No, there's not much of that. You mentioned our little pre-recording discussion that you liked the film more in the latter half, and I think a big part of that is like it just slows down enough where it's not just trying to like cover one episode every 5 minutes.
Well, and also they speak less. And the few times that they do speak, it's Yue who actually knows how to deliver this dialogue. Yeah. So again, it's so jarring to see all of these people as white people. It really does not fit. And then we get this, big, smoke from the ship, and they're super close. For them just to have seen the ashes, they're super close.
Yes. I mean, we see them. We just saw it. They're right outside. I'm not sure how they haven't visually seen them yet.
Yeah. No, I'm like, how did it would have worked better for them to be farther away. I don't know why they were so fucking close. Right at that moment. But now we do finally see Zuko once again going after the Avatar. We're actually going to see them in the same scene again. I will say this is a good scene, I think, for Sean Taub as Iroh, or Iroh as he is in this. It's one of the few that he gets. It's not amazing, but you can tell that he's a good actor who's trying with what he's given. I will say,
with his chi to warm himself.
When he jumped out of the rowboat, there was the ship still in the background. He rode like.
I don't think he was very far. No. Yeah, no. And here's a thing where I get frustrated, because I'm like, you specifically decided that firebenders could not create their own fire. What the hell is Zuko doing here?
Because Iroh told him he could use his chi to warm himself. So he was redirecting his chi to his hands to do that.
So then how can he not do that for firebending?
Because Iroh just taught him how.
Well, he's just creating he can create heat. He can't necessarily create fire.
I'm just saying it was a silly decision that really only makes things frustrating later on. I mean, there is one line where they're like, let's put out all the fires we can in the Northern Water Tribe. Yeah, don't think that's going to work. I will say every scene that Yue is in, yes, she has white hair and bright blue contacts, but she pops in every scene that she's in.
Yep.
You can see why they decided to use her later. I will say, I wish they used this area more. The Spirit Oasis.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. I mean, it's as Loren pointed out, badly lit, but
this feels like a set.
Because it is.
Definitely.
It's kind of something that y'all have said several times, and I'm somewhat unclear on. When you say they decided to use her again, what are you talking about?
So So the series, the original Avatar, the Last Airbender series ended. They did this movie. And then after this was horrible, the creators eventually created a new series called Legend of Korra.
Okay.
And when they did that, they brought this actress, Seychelle Gabriel. She's the only one that crossed over from the movie to a new project of theirs. And they basically created a character for her.
Okay, I got you now.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, they used her later when they created Korra. I will say they are listed as executive producers in this. I don't know. I mean, we saw that they walked away from Netflix because, of course, I don't know. Maybe they walked away from Netflix because they had this experience.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, the Netflix series so far looks better than this.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they probably had already experienced something being taken out of their hands and not liking the direction that it was going. And, this movie probably burned them.
Here's where Katara turns around and sees like, it's you, it's that guy I saw from my tribe.
Yeah, I mean, he did introduce himself there, so it wouldn't have been. Why is it necessary to say
did you really need to tell her that?
That makes no sense.
Like, that's just going to make him want to kill her more.
My name is Katara. I'm from the Southern Water Tribe, and I'm the only waterbender.
Yeah.
Why does he need to know that? He doesn't.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
But they've had no direct conflict in this at all.
No, because they have not had Zuko actually be the recurring antagonist.
No.
It's been more Zhao.
Yeah.
So yeah, but still, even then, the audience does not need Zuko to know her name.
No,
it's not necessary.
Well, what's important is whether they have any kind of actual character relationship, whether they actually have a feud that is paying off, and it's not.
Right. I will say it was a very little moment, but I did really like that moment of Dev Patel saying, I can't go home without him. We really get a sense of how desperate he is. It's a good acting moment for Dev Patel. Huh?
I feel like that extra forgot his helmet.
Oh, probably.
Through it.
Yeah. I will say the white actors in these helmets look ridiculous. Which makes the costumes look bad. But yeah. This is where, like I said, they mentioned in like one line earlier that the firebenders are basically trying to overthrow the spirits. But Iroh, just like in the series, is the one firebender that seems to think that the spirits are important and everything like that. So they're kind of bringing that up. This isn't a bad scene, especially compared to a lot of the other ones. This creature's weird. We haven't had, doesn't look great.
I think I know what they're trying to base it on, and it's something we see like in book 2, but okay, those drills just look comical.
Yeah.
The movie's done a very poor job up until this point of establishing that animals are different in the world.
I was going to say, it's the first time we, aside from Appa, which I also don't like the way that they give Appa just a gray face.
Yeah.
What the hell's up with that? It makes him look like a creature from Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah. We have Appa, but like Appa's introduced with Aang. We can assume that like it's a magical creature if you're coming into this new. Right. You get Momo, who's kind of unusual.
But we don't get a lot of other creatures. Yeah.
This Star Wars creature suddenly shows up in the last act of the film.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it does kind of look like a dewback.
Yes,
a little bit. Yeah, like a small version of a dewback.
Yeah,
but I will say here they changed the warning to not, be looking out after the spirits, but you need to show them the power of the ocean. Which we'll talk more about the ending when we get there. I'm just like,
we got some nice Pennsylvania woods a second ago too, by the way.
Yeah, lots of that. And I mean, I will say there are things that I like and things that I'm like, why are we still dealing with this about the fact that they're making this such a short thing? Because at this point, they're still like, you're still dealing with the loss of your people. I'm like, He is? Is he? Why is he? How long has it really been? I don't know. I'm so confused. I will. Sorry, go ahead.
For all that the movie wanted to, you know, tweak things to make it more about like the Avatar's connection with the spirits.
Yes.
It seems like an inexplicable change to change it from Roku to this dragon. Because, one, it's more expensive. Also, we come back and we're just getting dialogue about his sister.
Right.
But,
yeah, I will say the dragon spirit is voiced by John Noble.
Yes.
Which they kind of wasted because you can barely tell. And John Noble has a great voice.
He does.
I love John Noble's. If they just let him sound like John Noble, their job would have been done.
Have I told you before
about what?
The superhero show Legends of Tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I watched like the first two seasons.
Okay, so in season 3, there's a demon who's the big bad of the season. And he's voiced by John Noble. And towards the end of the season, in like the third to last episode or so, when the characters like they have a plan, but like to manipulate someone, they need to impersonate the time demon.
Yeah.
And they realize, like, wait a second, you know who he sounds like? John Noble. And like, because someone's watching Lord of the Rings in the background. It's like, wait a second. We just need to get John Noble to record like the voice we need for the time demon to impersonate him. So they because it's a time travel show, they travel back to New Zealand when they were shooting Lord of the Rings and convinced John Noble, like, this is other lines you need to
That is so meta.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Okay. It sounds like that show actually got fun. The first season and a half, it was a slog.
The first season is an absolute slog. In season 2, it started to find its way. Season 3 is strong and a lot of fun. Yeah, the title of the episode is even like, and now introducing John Noble or something like that.
Yeah. This is the one scene where we see Aang do a little bit of what I would think of as airbending.
Yeah.
When he's doing this circle thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just bad comedy, honestly. This just makes Zuko look dumb.
Right here, yeah. But
it's like a bit.
Yeah. I will say, I think that the worst bending in this movie is water bending. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because of I don't know if the actors that they hired to play the waterbenders weren't martial artists.
They weren't doing it right.
Sure.
That.
So yeah, there's that. There's also the fact that for some reason waterbending is always blobs rather than streams like it is in the series.
Although I did like those water tentacles that we saw earlier.
Sure, that was
might
okay.
be the anime fan in me.
Sure. Yeah, no. I mean, honestly, I prefer that. Do the streams, do the tentacles, do that. Why is it always blobs?
Yeah.
And why is it when it's always blobs, there's stuff coming off of it?
Easier
That's
to animate.
Weird. I guess. It just...
To go back to what I was saying about the dragon, I find it weird that, like, if you had Roku again,
okay, so this is correct.
Do that.
What Aang just did was correct.
Yeah.
But if you had him, like, communicating with a spirit human person, you could have a established relationship. This is a character who he had a relationship with before he went in the ice. He's, resuming that. That actor could put some, pathos into it. But instead, we have a big CGI dragon that doesn't move its mouth. And there's just no character to the dragon. It's a lost opportunity.
And they cast John Noble and drown his voice in effect.
And they drown his voice out, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm fine with it being a spirit dragon because it does kind of represent Roku. So I don't really have a problem with that. But if you're going to cast John Noble, use his voice.
Yeah, use his voice. Yeah, that too. I just think all those scenes would have the potential to be more powerful. Like you'd get better acting out of the scenes if it was two people talking to each other, not a person and a CGI dragon.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's
especially when the person in the scene can't act. No.
Yeah. Yeah, that we mentioned it before, but him just throwing that line over his shoulder. We could be friends,
friends, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that.
The
Really weird
scroll
way
from the
place
old
to throw that.
library.
Yeah.
Just in case you forgot from the earlier dialogue what this is.
Yeah, which again, it's really only hinted at in the series that it's from like they're making way too many things explicit that don't need to be explicit.
Yeah,
it's
but also
yeah.
like that was just the fact they were repeating it from like 5 minutes ago.
Right. Well, yeah, and they already said it unnecessarily once, but now they've got to say it unnecessarily twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll change their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the bending here doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. This weird
using his chi.
plastic wrap that he's okay. There we go. I mean, the ice that they put on people looks so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just looks like blocks of plastic.
Yeah, it looks like you got wrapped in saran wrap.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it would have looked better if they just put saran wrap on him. Yeah. Now we've got
animal abuse.
Zhao. Well, I'm sure that was a CG fish. But
well, I know. I'm just making a joke that
the way it's moving, I'd really like to imagine they just stuck like a Billy Bass in this bag.
Yes. I was thinking of like Flippity Fish because that's the little cat toy that all three of my cats are scared of Flippity Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a certain mechanical way that it's moving there.
Yeah.
I imagine, like you said, a cat toy. Just,
yeah. But I like the idea of it being the big mouth Billy Bass even better.
Yeah, I mean, they had to say, I mean, what was the budget for this movie? Because at times it looks really cheap. It was 150 million, which at the time was a lot. So yeah, at times it looks really cheap, and at times I'm like, you spent a lot of budget on that and didn't need to.
Yeah. No.
I will say the whole idea of UA collapsing here doesn't make a whole lot of sense because later on we see her fine. Because it almost makes it seem like that killed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she had just like withdrawn in pain, I think that would have made more sense.
Exactly.
Also, for it now to be red, also the red is weird here. I mean, I don't mind this moment of Iroh finally firebending.
I can
fire out of nowhere.
I can like the notion of just saving Iroh's firebending for a big punchy moment like this.
Let him fight in another way and be badass earlier.
No, that I agree. That's
yeah.
Let Iroh hint at something, but.
Or let him use the traditional fire bending, that they're using in this where they can't produce their own fire. And let that be a surprise for later. But
he could do some little stuff early on, casually. But I kind of like the notion. After all, on the show, he's a calm guy.
He is, but again, they're not depicting him like they do in the show anyway.
No,
in the show, he's fun. I mean, if you don't want him cracking jokes all the time, fine. But he can still be fun-loving.
Yes,
he can still be, a story. Because in this, he's just always like, Zuko, you need to do Zuko. Whereas in the show, he's just like, have fun. Life is fun.
Given, but yeah, I don't like any of the decisions they did with Iroh in this.
No. Or Eero, as they call him.
Eero. And yeah, and now she's fine again, like you said. Like, it really seems like she died in the last shot, and now she's just okay. I'm sad.
Yeah. If it weren't for the dialogue here, that scene would actually be pretty decent because you've got some actually really good actors here. But yeah.
You
sorry.
Have better actors in the movie sharing a scene together. So like that kind of
it is. It's nice to actually, have some decent actors, pulling the weight here. So it is one of the few scenes that I do actually. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to watch this Because yeah, I mean, I you know, watching it last night, I got a little teary during this bit. I was like, this is good. This is actual. I
This is
wrote
like the
down
one
in my-
part I'm invested in.
Yeah, exactly. Like you know, I wrote in my notes. I was like, fuck, she's actually really good. I get why they used her later, but I just wish that it, you know, permeated to the rest of the film. Because yeah, this is something I'm invested in right now. You know, this is a moment that I care about. You know, I don't really care about Jackson Rathbone as Sokka, but he's okay in that scene. You know, what do you guys think about the fact that they drained her hair?
I mean, her hair gets drained in the show too.
No, she just disappears in the show.
I thought her hair turned back to black and
I
then
don't
she disappeared.
think so.
Okay, maybe I was
No,
thinking backwards. I think we just okay. I guess I was thinking of when it.
Yeah,
turns
no,
into white.
she
Okay.
like collapses, then she's joined with the spirit, and then she
becomes one with the Force.
Yeah.
I do think I would rather her become one with the Force rather than just a dead body.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that too. Again, if it was just things like this, I could get over it. You know, if it was just like little continuity things that disagreed with the way I saw the series, fine. But then it's things like the dialogue, the way that the story doesn't make sense. You know, and I say that as a person that knows the story. You know, so yeah, there's just so many parts of this. And this was the part when I realized I actually don't mind this last half of the movie because most of it is, you know, some better stuff.
You know, if they can't manipulate actual fire, it's not clear to me entirely what Zhao's planning on doing. Oh, I guess there's.
I mean, there's some fire behind.
Oh,
them.
okay,
Yeah,
I'll see it now.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden they're changing his motivation. He can't capture the Avatar, so he's going to capture you. I don't mind that either. There are some ideas here that I'm like, there's, you know, if they wanted to do that, okay, you know, but it's just surrounded by so much shit that just doesn't work at all. And I'm sorry, that move, I don't know if that was a legit move, but it just looked like he was like hip thrusting. Like, what the hell was that? Oh. Yeah.
The longer this scene goes on, the more I wonder. It's like, where is everyone who lives in this city?
Yeah, I mean, they're about to come up. This is the moment where I like Iroh or Iro, whatever. But again, it doesn't last very long. There's not much to it. But then we get these ill-fitting, you know, white guys in tribal gear, and I'm just like, guys, what are we doing here?
So were they the ones waterbend? Okay.
They were the ones waterbending. Now, honestly, here's the thing. They remove the Deus Ex Machina, you know, water creature that destroys the Fire Nation. But I don't like this, where they just hold him in water till he drowns. That seems really cold. I'm like,
well, I mean, considering when he gets pulled in by the whatever it is. Okay, that move cracks me up.
Right, but at that point, when that happens in the series, it's just the spirit.
That's true.
If the spirit wants to be vengeful, let him.
Yeah.
But these guys literally just decided to be judge, jury, and executioner to this guy.
Yeah.
Take him in custody. Put him on trial.
It's war. They don't need to put you know, that on, you know, in that context.
I saw a really funny post one time, and it was everybody in Avatar: The Last Airbender is a war criminal except for Yue.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's the only one who has never done anything wrong.
It's a stretch, but what I kind of wanted to see watching it this time, as they hovered him in the water ball up in the air, was for them to then turn that ball to ice and then to crash it back down to the ground and then just like,
just shatter.
Yeah, Zhao is now frozen and in pieces. It's
honestly, I think I'd actually be better with that.
Yeah.
Rather than just,
okay, we're going to drown him and then let him go.
Because honestly, just dropping his dead corpse on the bridge is kind of underwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. And it's also, it seems really cold. It's like, why did you just drown him? That's so weird. Whereas at least the shattering ice would have been cool, huh?
We're back at this nice stone bridge in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say they change the whole, like, Aang's whole thing here, because instead of, getting angry, going into the Avatar state, fusing with the ocean spirit, and wiping out the Fire Nation that way, instead, he has this memory of the moment when he didn't bow back to accept the role of the Avatar, which actually is a moment, it brings into a moment that I kind of like in concept later on. But then he just uses his water bending, because I will say up to this point, we actually haven't seen Aang do a whole lot of fighting with water bending. I mean, there was a moment just a second ago, but mostly it's just this moment of rising all the water. So all he does here now is just rise all the water, make a big wave, and then put it down.
Yeah.
Which again is a little anticlimactic. I get the idea that they're pushing the pacifism angle, that kind of thing.
I have a lot of trouble following the geography here in this scene, because the boats are right up next to the cliff.
Yeah, they're right there. So
And like there were dudes on those bridges that like clearly were being knocked into the water. They're probably dead. That's fine. But So
I don't get the
tidal wave.
The huge tidal wave, and everybody just looks at it and they run away, and then he puts it down. I mean, I get the idea, but it's very anticlimactic.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is a city of waterbenders. I'm not sure why everyone, including the waterbenders, has stopped fighting.
Right. Yeah. It's like you've seen big waves before.
Yeah, exactly. And now and the fire guys are just like so intimidated by this. Like they literally made a giant wave earlier in this movie when they turned it to ice and sealed off the entryway.
Right.
It was a little shorter than this, but like it's the same functional thing.
Yeah.
I fully expected this to be he's going to drop the wave on him, which is cool, but that's also not what happens.
No. Well, and you mentioned before, this is war. We don't need to hold Zhao prisoner. They've just now held a whole bunch of firebenders in the city. They're going to have to be prisoners of war because their ships are going away.
They're prisoners of war, yeah, exactly. But I mean, Zhao was fighting them. Like they can.
But they already had him easily subdued.
Eh.
I just, if you're going to kill him like they did in the series, it needs to be done by a vengeful spirit like it was done in the series. Any other way, it just seems cold, and unnecessary.
It feels consistent.
Let's kill him.
Yeah. It just feels consistent to war for me, especially for someone who's been, from an enemy nation who's been attacking you for 100 years.
If they had been in the heat of a fight, but literally they just walked up on him, put him in water, and killed him. It wasn't like they were in.
He attacked them.
Barely. This film is not convincing in showing that anybody is overcome by emotion.
Oh, no, that's not.
I mean, except for, the scene with Yue and Sokka. That was done pretty well. But everything else.
Is that a Fire Nation dude cheering?
He's like, yeah, I'm one of you guys now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say so. They set up the whole idea that in this one, he ran when they were trying to confirm him as the Avatar. Yeah. And so this, because I guess this happens over the course of days, maybe a week or two.
Yeah.
So they're making it seem here at the end, like even though he's done all of this stuff, he still hasn't accepted the role of Avatar.
Also,
which is confusing, but I kind of like the beat at the end, if there were more coming, that he's finally accepting this moment. I like the idea of this. It's not done very well, and because there's been so many moments before that where I was like, I thought he already had, it doesn't make sense.
Especially since he says, I'm Ong. I'm the Avatar.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't make sense, but I like the idea of him taking this moment to finally accept it.
I'm someone weirded about the Fire Nation guys bowing down to him.
They're converts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also
like, hey, if we have to live in the southern or the northern water tribe now, you know what? Let's just be good people.
Right?
What is that face he was making to end this film on?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that he's like, okay, I'm accepting the role of Avatar, but I'm still, not sure that I'm worthy, kind of thing. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
And now we get a whole bunch of exposition that we don't need. Final scene, which they do in the series of, him charging Princess Azula. But now he's bringing up Sozin's Comet, and he's saying it's going to be in 3 years. The hell?
Well, I guess they thought, okay, well, if we're going to keep filming, these kids are going to get older, so we're going to give them a chance.
But still, we don't need to mention Sozin's Comet yet. I mean, they haven't even brought it up in the series. This is the first time Loren's heard of it.
Yeah, I have no
It's from this stupid movie.
Wait, I thought they mentioned Sozin's Comet like early on in the series.
No. And also, Azula, she's already end of season 3 Azula. We're hinting too much at end of season 3 Azula.
She was pretty sinister at the end of the season 1, from what I remember.
You'll see when we get there.
Regardless, you know what?
Yeah.
That, however, watching this again for the second time in 4 days or whatever, that was just an end credits theme. That's been stuck at the end of the movie instead of at the end of the credits or mid credits.
Honestly, I'm fine. I don't need to stick through these credits.
Well, no, but it was so unrelated to the final scene of the movie. Sure. Like, and the movie ends on a proper moment of, transition for Aang.
Right.
To then cut away to a character we've barely seen and a character who at most had like a 1-second cameo earlier in this film.
I feel like this whole movie was just them like going, okay, we're going to make a bunch of references to the show.
But that's what credit scenes are for. To either they're for fun or to set up other stuff.
Well, and they're also setting up that there's more to the story, which obviously they're never going to get to. But yeah, it's just, for fans, it's just like, no, don't set that up because I don't want you to ruin that too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, I mean, is there anything else about this film that we want to discuss? Or obviously we were talking while we were watching it. Is there anything else that we wanted to mention about this film specifically?
I would just love to hear an oral history of this film.
I just hope that everybody that was in the movie is doing okay, because I know how often, like, especially kids that end up like playing awful roles, they end up like bullied for years.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously we mentioned that Noah Ringer, outside of this and Aliens and Cowboys, hasn't done any acting since. He's like in his late 20s now. But it seems like he was more in it for the martial arts anyway. So, not
well, I hope that
deal.
was his reasoning and not that people were mean to him.
I mean, let's be honest. He wasn't a great actor.
Well, no, so he wasn't, but he's still
if he finds fulfillment in a different art form, good.
That's awesome.
Go for it.
Yeah, he has an Instagram, but he last updated it in 2014.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, then let us go ahead and it might be hard, but let's do our normal segments here.
Oh, Lordy.
So we are gonna go ahead and we are gonna start with our My Cabbages moment. My cabbages! Which is, of course, the moment or scene that was our favorite or the most interesting. So, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Amanda, we will start with you. What was your My Cabbages moment in this film?
I mean,
there's not a lot to choose from unless you just thought something was so ridiculous it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy Iroh, like, firebending real fire, but I mean, I've got to go with just Yue and Sokka's moments.
Yeah. Yeah, anything involving Yue and Sokka. Loren?
Okay. I wasn't prepared for this. You go first.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna mirror Amanda. Anything to do with Yue, really. She was easily the best part of this film. I do want to give honorable mention to that moment with Randall Duck Kim, because that moment, like, I'm like, up to that moment, and yes, Dev Patel had been trying, you could tell, but up to that moment, that was the best single moment of acting, when you can tell that he feels bad about what he's doing, and then the guy slaps coins in his hand and he's just like, feels like shit. Like, that was, if I had to pick a single moment, I would say that was probably my favorite moment. But overall scenes definitely goes to the Yue stuff.
Okay, I'm not sure I have a favorite scene, but at least a favorite moment, I think, has to go to that fight scene after Zuko, as the Blue Spirit, has rescued Aang, and they're fighting the other Fire Nation, and it's that, again, that sort of long oneer done in a circle. I'm not crazy about some of the slow-mo that's in that bit, but that was the best action in the film, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, easily the worst fight was the one in the prison camp.
The prison. Oh, that was
that, like, it was comical. Like, it was ridiculous. Honestly, I was just like, is this movie deciding to be ridiculous? Because if they are, I'll go with it. But that's literally the only scene that plays up any sort of humor, and I don't think was intentional.
Yeah. Oh, I will say there was one other moment I will give honorable mention to, because I brought this up. I think Amanda might have been able to see it before it went by. Clay, I'm not sure you did. Was when they got to the prison camp. Like I said, I love the fact that there's that one extra who's been given a broom to sweep, and it's just like sweep.
Yeah,
not even touching the ground. Just like, that's what they've been told to do. So
don't touch the ground because it'll make noise.
Yes.
That's probably what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let us get into our Mako Award, which is the award that we give to our favorite or most interesting character. This is going to be rather limited, I'm assuming. But Loren, we'll start with you for this one. Who would you give your Mako Award to?
All right. Yeah, this is boring commentary as I try to think, isn't it?
I mean, at this point, we're done with the movie, so
I would like to say John Noble, but honestly, like you said,
you can't tell it's him.
He does not make an impression,
no,
at all. I doggone it, I probably have to give it to Asif Manvi, like Nathan Rabin said, because I don't love him as Zhao. He's not intimidating enough.
No,
in the role, he doesn't convey that.
Yeah,
but Manvi is at least having fun in the role, and he's bringing some other flavor to this thing where everyone affect.
There was a lot of weird casting of really good actors.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
to be honest,
you know,
if you just put a little makeup on him, Monvi would be better as Iroh. He's not old enough, but he's a better fit for character-wise. He's a better fit for Iroh than as Zhao.
I mean, he definitely doesn't fit Zhao.
No,
that I'll definitely agree.
But
with. I mean, honestly, again, I will echo what I said before. Anybody else in this movie that should have been Iroh, Randall Duck Kim.
Yeah,
it should have been Iroh if you were going to cast anybody else in this movie.
Yeah, no, I guess what I'm just trying to say about Monvi is like he was given the job, and kind of like it's sometimes in local theaters, just like you cast who you have. He's been given the job and he did what he could with it. He tried, even if he's not the best fit.
Right.
So, yeah. Randall Duck Kim though, in his very, very few moments, I did enjoy. He was cute.
All right, Amanda.
UA.
Yeah,
I love her.
Seychelle Gabriel is easily giving the best performance here. I think just so that we're all saying someone different, I will say Randall Duck Kim, because the little bit that he had, I think, was really good. But I do think that the person doing the most to help this movie is Seychelle Gabriel. I think that she, was really elevating every scene that she's in. Now, I do want to ask, I didn't want to say it before, but Loren, you have not said anything about that performance. Did you not like her in that role? Or did it just not stick out to you?
It just didn't stick out to me. She was fine. She like I said, she had an affect. Like she was actually giving a performance.
Yeah.
But to me, it was just kind of, perfectly nice, pleasant princess in a fantasy movie stuff. I didn't think she...
I mean, I will say I think she shines brighter because she's surrounded by so much shit.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you that.
I do think that even in a vacuum, that she's giving a decent performance, which is more than you can say for most other people in the movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the ones that you can tell are trying are just handcuffed in a way that she apparently wasn't. So
part of my opinion of her, I think, is handcuffed by the fact that, like, I didn't think they did much with her story. Like, when they finally get to her and Sokka kissing, it's just like that.
Yeah, they removed all of the conflict there. Yeah. Again, though, it would have seemed weird if they had introduced that conflict in the middle of the movie. So, I mean, I kind of get it. Again, this format was not structured well.
It's not structured well, but I don't know how. Again, I don't know how you do it better. But just the burgeoning romance between Sokka and Yue, like, I just didn't feel much of that. But then they suddenly kiss, and it's like, oh, I guess they have a lot of feelings for each other. But like, I didn't feel like there was much before that. And then she dies, and then she turns out she's not dead, and then she does die. And yeah, he's very, very sad, but I'm honestly not sure how. It's not entirely clear based on what's on screen. What are the feelings he has for her?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let us go ahead and rate this on our Avatar State Meter. We can rate this anywhere from 1 to 5, 5 being the show at full power, 1 being a fatal blow. It just might, do it in. So, yeah, Amanda, where are you going to put this?
This is the only time I will ever give Avatar a 1.
It's pretty bad. Loren.
It's bad.
I want to give it an 0.5.
I mean, do what you want.
It'll go that low.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to be fair, probably a 1, I guess, if we're just playing by the strict rules of this, and that we can't go lower than that. But there's some things that at least I suppose were done competently in this film.
Yeah.
Like in terms of low budget inexperienced movie maker type stuff. But the problem is, this is not an inexperienced movie maker working with no budget. It's an Oscar-nominated dude working with $150 million.
This was during the time when M. Night was basically running into the fact that all of his weird, quirky choices were all of a sudden being the things that were not working anymore.
Yeah.
You know, all of the things that made him unique now made him eat shit.
Wait,
so
already done Lady in the Water by this point, right?
Huh? Oh yeah. No, he did Lady in the Water. The one, honestly, the first one that he did that I absolutely just could not stand was The Happening. And I know that a lot of people
The Happening is bad. Yes.
Oh, The Happening is bad, but I know a lot of people enjoy it because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't even get to that point, partially because we drugged my father to go see that movie because I'd liked so many of M. Night's previous movies, and it was so bad, and I felt so bad for making my dad watch it.
Yeah.
Because he was not a person that went to see movies.
Yeah.
So yeah. I am going to give this movie, honestly, I'm going to give it a 0. Because it's just so bad. And honestly, I had considered giving it a -1, but then I was like, no, honestly, I don't hate the second half as much as I hate the first half. And I do think that Seychelles Gabriel as Yue is good, Randall Duck Kim is good, and you can tell that some people are trying so hard to do well. They're just so handcuffed. But yeah, I can't give it any more than a 0. It's so bad.
Bad.
It is bad, bad, bad.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it'll be a good year. This is a good year for movies. If this is the worst movie I see this year.
Yeah. I honestly hope you don't see anything worse than this.
I take that back. That does not guarantee
it'll be a mediocre year.
If I see a bunch of movies that are still technically better than this, I could still be seeing a lot of very bad movies.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'll feel very bad if you see something worse than this.
I just hope I don't see something that's remotely as bad as this.
Yeah.
By the way, just totally unrelated, I happened to looking at the wiki here a minute ago. Apparently, Noah Ringer identifies as being of Native American ancestry. So
I think that he said that he thinks he has Native American relatives or ancestors, which, unless he's done like a DNA test, I know lots of people that thought that.
Yes.
And it was not true. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying, it, could be, could not. But yeah, now is the time we want to go ahead and let people know how to get in contact with us. So, of course, you can contact me at The Flying Cow Pod, Twitter and Instagram, email at theflyingcowpod@gmail.com. Make sure to check out everything that we've got going on. We will still haven't completely decided when we're going to start recording for season 2, but hopefully it won't be too long from now. But be on the lookout for that, and make sure to check out the Patreon, patreon.com/theflyingcow.
I have a fun final question for y'all.
Okay.
Which is, I think we had tossed out before that it might be fun, someone's joke that the leads of this movie should come back to play like the actors in like a 3rd season live action episode.
I don't need, unless you bring back Seychelles Gabriel, I don't need any of them. Who I do want is Dante Bosco.
This was my question.
Yes.
Are there any performers in this movie you would like to see resume other roles in the Netflix show that you think actually would be a good fit for something, that it would be just as sort of an Easter egg for them to play that role?
I mean, Randall Duck Kim, is he still alive?
I don't know. I'll look and you keep talking.
And if they could find a role for her that would fit, that would make sense, Seychelles Gabriel would work. But yeah, they're the only ones.
Kim is alive.
Yeah, he is.
He is alive.
He's 80.
Yes.
But it says he's still active.
Yeah.
So
mean, you could put Noah Ringer as like a background fighter.
I don't need it.
I mean, you don't have to have it, but
I don't think you want to make
good potentially.
You have to put something more prominent than background because that's just insulting.
Okay.
Don't need it.
What about
anybody else?
Is there anything you'd like to see Sean Tao play? You seem to like him. Okay.
I like him as a performer.
Yeah.
I don't think that he was right in this movie, in this role.
That's what I mean. Is there anything in a second or third season of a Netflix show that you think he might be a good fit for?
Here's the thing. I find it, you know, like I said, the majority of the people of color in this one were South Asian.
Yeah.
Whereas everything I've seen of the Netflix show, everyone, I mean, obviously they are casting, you know, indigenous people for the Water Tribe, but everyone else seems to be East Asian. So I don't know if there is any South Asian representation in there. And if, I mean, honestly, see, no, because that would need to be a comedic role. And I think you'd be wasting it on him. I was about to say the Cabbage Merchant. But I mean, it'd be like having
we'll probably already cast the Cabbage guy though, is the problem.
Yeah. Nothing sticks out to me. If they found a place for him, I wouldn't be upset, but I don't need it.
Yeah. Okay. Also, finally, to answer the question you always want to ask me, no, this did not.
I wasn't even gonna ask.
It has a hole to dig itself back out of now. Although I suppose it does look better by comparison. So
it's true. It's true. This show does this make you like the show even? Because I will say honestly, afterwards, all I wanted to do was go rewatch the show.
Yeah,
because this was so bad, and I just wanted to get the taste of it out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, do you guys have anything else that you want people to know about before we head out?
I'm starting rehearsals for Lend Me a Tenor with Act 3 Theater in Sandy Springs, Georgia. So if you're around, that's going to be up in May. Not May, March, I think. So I'll update on dates on that as we get closer to it.
There you go.
And I am going to, let's see, what do I have going up? I was just nominated for Creator of the Year with the game Hers. I don't know when voting starts for that, but you should vote for me. And then I'm also on Twitter at Amanda Van Heil. And I actually just changed my Instagram to match my everything else. So everything is now Amanda Van Heil on socials with the exception of Twitch, which is Panda Princessa.
All right.
I also, as we were talking, just got an email confirming the dates for the Atlanta Bar Association's Bard Show, that those dates have finally been approved for November of 2024. So, yeah.
All right. So you got some time to plan.
A lot of time to plug that, but if you want to come see a bunch of lawyers sing and dance and act.
Who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, yes, like I said, we will be back sometime soon with our, discussions of season 2 or book 2, Earth, of the show proper. But until that time, moo.
Mm.